And that's the frustrating thing with these pro-Israel organizations, is they are nonstop conflating Jewish people in Israel. I'm not saying you should stop talking about anti-Semitism. I'm saying you should stop talking about anti-Semitism in a profoundly damaging and dishonest fashion that only dilutes the seriousness of anti-Semitism in the diaspora, in doing so in a way that is clearly designed to distract people from what's happening in Gaza.
Right. I cannot imagine what that must feel like for a Jewish person that is critical to be in this environment of constant silencing. I try to think of if people tried to tell me that criticism of Saudi Arabia was anti-Muslim, it would drive me nuts, and it would only make me want to criticize it more.
Yeah, and that's where I'm at. I've been as vocal about this issue as I have at this time, because I know now's not the time to just hang my head and be quiet and just focus on anything else. More than at any time in my lifetime, it's the time to speak out. I think what's especially troubling is to see so few voices in the mainstream able to or willing to push back against this systematic deception, this inversion of reality.
Right. Yeah, that's really well put. Any kind of resistance is just not acceptable.
Yeah, literally, there isn't one. There's no form of Palestinian resistance or even assertions of their existence that Israel and its supporters will accept. Archbishop Tutu, said that this occupation is worse than apartheid. It's not just bad for the Palestinians who are constantly surveilled and harassed and having their movements controlled, but it also corrodes the occupier's soul. It was just amazing. It is, as a Jewish person, you land at the airport in there, and of course it's built on top of a ethnically cleansed Palestinian village. But as a Jewish person, you go and you see all these signs in Hebrew and all these, Orthodox Jewish street vendors, and it is very welcoming when you're a Jewish person. But I remember a few things that, in retrospect, I thought were really fucked up. First of all, Elise Stefanik is a MAGA chud who believes in the Great Replacement and that George Soros is behind it. And here she is saying that she is standing against anti-Semitism on university campuses. He's constantly comparing these protests against businesses to Kristallnacht.
Like it's Starbucks.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
It's a corporation.
And using this corporation as a stand-in for Jewish people is wild. I think seeing the proliferation of these groups like Jewish Voices for Peace and Independent Jewish Voices, and If Not Now, have really been, I think, to seeing their prominence at this time.
It's been great.
It has been great, and it also has, because it can feel alienating going up against the sort of mainstream voices of your community who purport
I know the feeling
to speak on your behalf. Oh, yeah, well, exactly. I do think a lot of ways that we can sort of relate. But I got into the atheist stuff, and it was Sam Harris, really, that made me realize that the whole thing was a total fraud, because he's just I remember taking his book out of the library, and it had this enthusiastic blurb from Alan Dershowitz. And I think that is a good starting point, just because this narrative that you're either with us or you're with the anti-Semitic mob is so prevalent that it's well, hold on.